Hey super friends, my name is Neil and I'm here with a very special video diving deep, can't believe I'm going to say this, into the teaser trailer for James Gunn's Superman 2025. Yes, that's right. As you are watching this video right now, the 2-minute 22-second teaser trailer for Superman, which releases in cinemas on July the 11th, 2025, is now available online globally, finally, for us all to watch and dissect and enjoy and just bask in its glory. I was lucky enough to get to watch this trailer a few days ago as you're watching this, so on Monday I had one watch of the trailer and I sat down for a Q&A with James Gunn and a bunch of other UK and European journalists. And we have been embargoed. That is now lifted, and finally I can talk to you about this trailer, and oh my god, I cannot wait to dive in. So I think my biggest takeaway from this trailer is just how much hope and optimism and light there is in this version of Superman, which is interesting when you think about the context in which we're seeing him in this trailer. So obviously that opening shot is Superman at what is an incredibly low point. You know, we see him crash into the snow and he's bleeding, and those first few shots of him in what you can kind of call the main body of this, at least this first half of the trailer, is him very much at his weakest. But the bright imagery, the white of the snow, the brightness in his costume, the blue of his eyes, there's a lot of light and hope and colour in this version of Superman, and that's communicated to us so quickly. And then James Gunn does this really clever thing with this trailer in that he establishes Superman at this low point and immediately jumps to Clark Kent, and we get to establish who he is before we really get into the meat and bones of the second half of the trailer. So the first half really seems to set up the character of Superman and who David Corenswet's Man of Steel will be. So you see Lois for the first time, you see Jimmy for the first time, you see Pa Kent for the first time, and you meet Krypto, obviously, as well, which is a huge kind of major moment for the DCU and where this film is going to be tonally as well. Because if you think about how James Gunn has talked about the DCU and how it will have these different flavors and these different notes depending on the project, and you then think, okay, Creature Commandos is on at the moment, and that is very much an adult 18 rated gore fest at times, particularly if you know you've seen episode 3, which is out now, which features a huge sequence with a lot of exploding heads, etc. You then look at this trailer. This is family friendly. This is a Superman that kids will love. This is a Krypto that kids will love. This is a movie that will, I'm not saying it's built for it, it will have a ton of toys, and it's going to be a great experience of families going to the cinema to watch this and to feel the hope and the optimism that comes with this, you know, this symbol and this character. And I feel like that's really baked into that first half of the trailer. And if you look at the poster, the idea of look up as well, you know, look up and there's a symbol of hope, look up and there is Superman, look up and there is a hero. And actually I think some of that is also built in with using John Williams' theme, what John Murphy is doing and updating that classic theme. There's a real sense of a legacy, which, as we know, the film was originally titled Superman Legacy. I think you can understand why it was called that based on what we see in the early moments of this trailer, which is really quite magical and exciting, and that's really left me with a huge sense of optimism for the DCU moving forwards. So you get to this point in the trailer where the music is swelling, you know, you're hearing that classic John Williams theme but played on guitar, and the bloody Superman whistles, and here comes Krypto, which now James Gunn has said that Krypto won't be the best dog in the world when you watch the film, and he's based on his dog Ozu. But certainly in this trailer, he has a lot of heart and he brings a lot of love into it. So the big eyes, the way he looks after Clark, Superman, Cal, however you want to call him, in that moment when he reaches out to him with his cape and says, "Take me home," there is a real sense there of magic, which I don't feel like I've ever really seen in a DC film, and I'm not just talking DC EU. I'm talking the entire history of DC on film. When you think of Michael Keaton's Batman films, when you think of even Joel Schumacher's Batmans, when you think of any of the DCE movies, they've had, I guess Wonder Woman has a sense of optimism, the moment when she rises up on the battlefield and hits the bullet. There's something there tonally that is more optimistic, but there's something about this which feels different. There's an excitement, there's something new here that James Gunn is tapping into, which to me as a DC fan feels like it connects to what I read in comic books, which is really exciting. I don't know how that will land with general audience yet, because as I'm recording this, I don't know anyone else other than DC fans and journalists who have seen it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that connects with the general audience. It doesn't feel like Marvel. It doesn't feel like what Gunn has done with Guardians of the Galaxy. This feels different, and I'm excited by that. From that moment when Crypto latches onto the cape, we are really springboarded into the second half of the trailer, which is something very different. And again, something that has impressed me with this, and I'm really excited by in this trailer, is how James Gunn has, and his editors and everyone that's worked on this film, let's not just squarely put this at Gunn, because this is everyone involved. The stylistic choice to use very, very little dialogue in this trailer. If you take a step back and just look at it, you have the moment where he says, Crypto, home, take me home. There is not a huge amount of dialogue in this trailer otherwise. Everything is communicated to us through that classic theme and through the visuals. And we are seeing some of the pillars of who Superman is. So that first moment when we fade back in and we start to see the montage of action from across the film is this child who is in danger. There is chaos going on behind them, which we'll touch on in a second. And you get this moment where Superman swoops in at, using his speed, wraps himself around them, and as this explosion of, I think, kind of, it's like canisters or bollards or something, comes flying at this kid who is clearly, would have been killed in this moment. We hit into slow-mo, which, slow-mo, it's going to be a lot of comparisons there between what Gunn has done and what we've seen in other recent DC films, but you hit into slow-mo to emphasize that action as this chaos wraps around these two characters as he protects this child. And straight away, this is telling you, this is Superman. This is a man of the people. This is a hero of the people. This is someone who cares about everyone. He's not, in this moment, saving the world from a Doomsday or a Darkseid or a Brainiac. This is a small gesture. This is one of the small Superman gestures of who he is, protecting this child in this moment, in this huge moment of chaos, which is revealed slightly later as this kaiju-like monster, which for a second I thought might have been Parasite, but actually it's a moment that we seem to return to a few times throughout this second half of the trailer, and I don't quite know who or what this character is, but we see this huge fire-breathing kaiju-like monster attacking the city, and there's a shot later on of buildings that are being knocked over, which is presumably this monster. Behind the little girl that you see in that first shot, you can see the foot of the monster hitting the ground, which is what causes all of this material to go flying at her. And so immediately this makes me think, okay, are we setting up intergalactic threats, which is something else that we call back to later in some actual footage from where that first photo, the still image of Superman with the orb in the background, was released. There's a lot of different threats that are being set up in this trailer, but the way it's constructed and the way it's put together is showing you the versatility of the character of Superman and what he's capable of and who he is and what he's doing. So we see him protect the small person. We see him protect the child. We see him rejected by the city in a moment later on when they're throwing things at him. So we presume that for some reason the people are turning against him, which we don't really get any context as to why. But then we see him fighting this giant kaiju-like monster, and this is him protecting, in a much wider shots, the city of Metropolis. So we see him as the hero of the city. There's a shot of a child. We partly see them on a TV screen, but then we cut in and we see the footage, who is raising a Superman flag in what appears to be another country, and that's where some of the news footage comes in, and he's calling for Superman. So we see him as a hero of the world, and then again, dipping back into that moment, which is expanding on the still image, we see what I think is a Brainiac orb, because of the purple and the green tentacles, attacking the city in what is a really tense but tender moment between Superman and Lois. And immediately you think of him as a hero of more than... He's a hero for everyone. He's a hero that saves the city. He's a hero that saves the world. He's a hero for all people. And I think I take away from that how much it feels like this film understands Superman and who he is and what he means to people on different levels, which is really, really exciting to see. Lois is another interesting aspect of this trailer. We see her in a few different key moments. We see her in the first half of the trailer for just a moment, glancing at Clark on the show floor, in the news floor at the Daily Planet. We don't get a sense of their connection in that moment, but we see that there is one, and we also get communicated in just the way that Rachel Brosnahan carries herself walking across the news floor, that she's confident. There is not enough to get a sense of Lois's personality, but I feel like there is a strong and sassy, intelligent, fierce Lois that we're going to be seeing here, based on the body language and the way she moves in that scene. But something else that I find really interesting is that we see Lois alongside Clark on the news floor. We see her alongside a Clark at home in civilian garb but no glasses, and we see her alongside Superman, and we see her in tender moments in each of those instances. So I wonder whether either during the course of this film she will get to learn who he is, or whether she is already aware and they're already in a romantic relationship when the film starts. But it certainly seems like there is a really strong bond and a strong chemistry between David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan, which is pretty clear. Villain-wise, there is a lot going on in this trailer, which is very, very interesting. So we see a couple of glimpses of Lex. Nicholas Hoult has a big personality on screen that's communicated even in these small moments. We see Luthor Corp established. Interestingly, we already know from the suits of the Justice League International type characters that they're sponsored by Lord Tech, and we know Maxwell Lord is in this film, which establishes that company. And there's a scene in this film which features Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific that has a reflection of a Stag Industries logo. So we're setting up three fairly major companies from within the DCU just in the space of this film that are all operating within Metropolis. But what I wanted to say on that was, there's not a huge amount of who Lex is, but it certainly seems like the rivalry between Lex and Clark, or Lex and Superman, should I say, exists and is well developed enough. He seems aggravated by Superman's mere presence, which is very, very exciting. And again, a small flavour without context, without dialogue, that is an exciting tease for the dynamic we might have between the two of those characters. There is so much more I could talk about and that I want to say about this trailer, because we could literally be here for hours trying to dive deep into what is going on. We get a little glimpse of the Fortress of Solitude coming out of the ground, what appears to be, which could again be tied to the moment when Krypto is pulling the injured Superman across the ice. We see, I think, Superman holding the body of Kellex in what is clearly the Fortress of Solitude. If you look in the background, you can see the kind of ice structures behind him. So clearly there's going to be some kind of attack. We know that when they were filming, there were scenes that were shot there that included Lex Luthor, so perhaps that sets up some of the rivalry between the two of them. You have this kaiju-like monster. You have the Brainiac-type orb. And there is one shot which, if you look very carefully, shows a character, could be a Martian Manhunter, could be a Brainiac, could be someone else who is completely unidentified. It's just one shot of a face. I'm calling him Ivan Ooze for now, just because it's that similar kind of makeup effect. I mean, could tie into the idea that I thought the kaiju-like monster was Parasite, but the colours don't quite seem right. You don't see the character's forehead, so you wouldn't see if there was the Brainiac logo, but it does seem that there's some purple and some green in there. Could it be a Martian Manhunter that we didn't know that was going to be in this film? Which member of the cast is it? It's hard to say because they're behind so much makeup. I don't think it's Metamorpho. It could well be Alan Tudyk, who we don't know what role he's playing. It's exciting, and it just all goes to prove to me that this is not an overpowering, overloaded teaser trailer. This really is a tease. Everything that I'm telling you is based on what I'm guessing looking at the visuals in this trailer. I don't have the context, I'm just guessing, but this is so exciting. This is our first chance to really dive into this. The colour palette is amazing, the music is amazing, the way this is shot, it's so crisp and contemporary and clean that it just does not feel like anything we have seen from DC before, and that is so exciting. Many of you will of course be aware, if you've looked at set photos, that there are rumours that Ultraman might be a character in this film. Now that character, as to who we think might be him, is glimpsed very, very briefly, as is their fight within a baseball stadium that has been seen in set photos. No context, just the briefest of moments on screen. Nothing to give away who he is or what's going on there. Similarly, nothing to give away what the JLA or JL... Is that what I mean? No, I don't. I mean the JL International, JLI, are up to. Of course, we don't even know if that's what they're called. I'm just presuming that based on the characters that are being used. No sign of Cat Grant, no sign of Perry White, no sign of Mark Kent, no sign of Eve Tessmacher. There's so many characters. None of the Authority characters are even glimpsed here. Frank Grillo is not there, so no Rick Flag Sr. It feels like we have seen so much in the space of this 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and yet we know almost nothing. We only know what we can guess and what we have seen. And what we have seen is that David Corenswet's Superman is strong, he's powerful, he's hopeful, and that I think this film is going to be absolute magic. And that, I think, is all I want to say for now on this trailer. So please, I am desperate, after holding on to this for 4 days, I'm desperate to know what you guys think of this trailer. So please, let me know in the replies, in the comments. Did you enjoy this trailer? What were your favourite moments? What more would you like to see when another trailer comes somewhere down the line, probably in 2025 now? Likewise, find me on social media. I'm at Neil Vag on all major platforms, or find us at Get Your Comic Con on all major platforms, and let us know what you thought. You can see my deep dive into some of the key moments from the trailer, including that relationship between Lois and Clark, how much we are all going to fall in love with crypto. It is all over on the website for you to check out. Likewise, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into some of the biggest moments with a screenshot gallery as well, because why would we not? This trailer is beautiful. So please go check all those out, www.getyourcomiccon.co.uk, and roll on July 2025 is all I can say. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?